The Jared Dillian Show.
I'm Jared Dillian. This is the Jared Dillian Show. If you want to call to talk about your money, please call 844-305-7800. That's 844-305-7800. This is the Jared Dillian Show. Pretty busy day today. Made some big trades, moved some money around. Pretty exciting. I'm excited. I'm making a big bet. I am not afraid. You ever notice that people really hate talking about money? What are you not supposed to talk about? Politics, religion, and money. You're not supposed to talk about these things. Nobody ever talks about money. That's the way people are taught in their families. But people will talk about politics all the time. People talk about politics. It's like the national pastime. They'll talk about politics with complete strangers. They'll talk about politics at the dinner table. They won't shut up about politics. People are obsessed with it. Twitter, I'm on Twitter and I talk about finance on Twitter. But you would be amazed. I mean, really the whole purpose of Twitter is to argue about politics. And it's depressing. It's absolutely depressing. People will not shut up about politics. People will get in your face and start yelling about politics, but nobody ever talks about money. I can tell you some people who enjoy talking about money. Wall Street guys like talking about money a lot. It's what they do. They live it, they eat it, they sleep it, they breathe it, they deal with money all day long. They like talking about money. I am a creature of Wall Street. I like talking about money all the time. My mind is constantly going. I'm always thinking about business. I'm thinking about ways to make money, and I love to talk about it. So Wall Street guys love to talk about how much they're getting paid, how much they make on trades, how much they make on commissions. They talk about money all the time. So I am used to talking about money all the time. And that creates some cultural difficulties, It's not very common wherever you go in the country. I live in the South, and it's really not common here. People don't talk about money at all. But I will talk about money with complete strangers. And it makes people uncomfortable. I don't care. I mean, this is what I do for my job. I have a radio show where my job is to talk about money 2 hours a day, 5 days a week. Okay. So I get people, it's funny because I get calls, and I encourage you to call in. We're going to have a good show the first hour of the show, and then in the second hour, we're going to have a guest. Call in and talk about money. The number is 844-305-7800. But people call in and they're looking for advice, and they're like, yeah, I'm buying a house. And they won't tell me how much the house costs. I'm like, that is a crucial piece of information that I am missing. I need to know how much the house costs. I need to know your income. I need to know how much credit card debt you have. I need to know if you have a car loan. I need in order for me to render any advice, I need the whole picture here. And people will call in and give me no information. You got to be, if you're going to call into the show, you have to be very open about your financial situation. Otherwise, I can't help, and it's like pulling teeth. So they'll call in about looking for a job, but they won't talk about the salary. I mean, this is a crucial piece of information. And people are ashamed to talk about money. Where does that come from? I don't know where that comes from. And here is the thing. This is the key point. We're not going to get any better with money if we don't start talking about money out in the open. We have to start discussing it openly. So it was funny. I had a radio interview the other day about the financial crisis, and we were talking about how much money was floating around Wall Street in the mid-2000s, because that was really the heyday for Wall Street. Not just the mid-2000s. I would say all of the 90s up to 2008. There was about an 18-year run there that was absolutely fantastic. So the host of the radio show, he was asking, about all the money that people got paid back then. And I said, look, I was 31 years old and I was making $850,000 a year. And they're like, oh my God, holy crap. They were just floored, I'm like, I don't care. It's in my book. I wrote a book about Lehman Brothers. I said how much I got paid in the book. And it's not a secret. It's not a big deal. Why does everybody care about this? I'm not showing off. It's just a fact. It's just a fact. And I also talk about how much I was making in the Coast Guard. When I first started in the Coast Guard, when I graduated from the academy, I was making $20,000 a year. And I'll talk about that. It doesn't, it's important to talk about this stuff. So, yeah. And by the way, when I was a Lehman making $850,000 a year, would you believe me if I told you that I was actually underpaid relative to what other people were being paid doing the same job? So I'm not embarrassed. We're just talking about facts here. If you call in the show, I need all the information. I need to know how much you make. I need to know what your house is worth, and I need to know your net worth, and I need to know how much is liquid. This is the Jared Dillian Show. Let's talk about money. So on the show, I've told you how much money I've made over my lifetime. I told you that I was making $20,000 a year in 1996. I was making about $45,000 a year in 1998. I started at Lehman Brothers making $135,000 in 2001. I was 27 years old. I got up to making $850,000 a year at Lehman in 2007. Then I quit and I started my business. So the first year of my business, I made $235,000. And that has gone up every year since then. And now it is a gross amount of money. And that is all the money I have made over my career. So see, I just told you how much money I make. More than most people, but less than some people. But I'm not embarrassed about it. We're talking about it because we have to talk about money if we're going to get past this. You know what else people talk about all the time? Their health problems. I don't want to hear about that stuff. People talk about their diabetes. They talk about gout, but they don't talk about money. There's some health problems they don't talk about. They don't talk about erectile dysfunction. But, the visible stuff like diabetes, they'll talk about that. One of the reasons I don't mind talking about money is, there's two reasons. Number one, I don't get embarrassed on it. And I never get embarrassed. I don't get embarrassed easily. Number two, I don't experience envy, okay? If you come on a show and you say that you make $5 million a year, I'm not going to be jealous. I'm going to be like, yes, that is awesome. Good for you. And then I'm going to ask, how did you do it? Tell us how you did it so everybody listening can listen and learn. Learn how you make that kind of money. That's why we talk about this kind of stuff. You know what I mean? I'm always fascinated by the ways in which people make money. You see, there are some paths that are well-traveled that everybody knows are ways to make money. So you can go to Wall Street. That's path number one. You can go to Silicon Valley and do tech stuff or VC stuff. That's number two. Law to a lesser extent, medicine to a lesser extent. But people know about these paths. But those are not the only paths. There are several other paths. There's a business in town here called Monarch Roofing, okay? It's a roofing company. They have this building. It's like a 3-story building. It's this gleaming headquarters. They have dozens of trucks. You can't drive around without seeing one of their trucks. They probably have 150 employees. This is a big-ass business. This is a huge business. And I'm going to guess that they're doing 30 to 50 million a year in revenue, and the guy that owns that business is probably making a few sticks a year. Roofing. This is a blue-collar profession. and dangerous. Climbing up on a roof is dangerous. Got all kinds of issues with workman's comp and stuff like that, like lawsuits. Like it's a tough business. But if you're successful, oh my God, you can make so much money. Even a guy that owns a small to medium size HVAC company. I mean, you can make mid to high six figures doing that. So there's all kinds of ways to make money. And the thing about Wall Street or Silicon Valley jobs is that they're high paying in the context of working for a large organization. And what I mean by that is you can be a working stiff on Wall Street and make $500,000 a year. Just literally like a brown bag lunch guy, just a working stiff, and make $500,000. And that does not exist anywhere else. So I have an idea. Instead of talking about politics all the time, which is the worst thing in the world, why don't we talk about money instead? We have to destigmatize it if we want to get better at this stuff. Talk to your neighbors. Hey, what kind of mortgage did you get? What was the interest rate? What mutual funds do you invest in? These are all conversations we should be having with each other. It's like some big secret. You have people who are good with money and you have people who are bad with money. The people who are bad with money never get any better because they never get to learn any good habits. Personal finance problems are very complex and have a bunch of different variables. That's what makes this stuff so hard. I'm Jared Dillian. This is The Jared Dillian Show.
The Jared Dillian Show.